Hey, what up, Schizo Manic? Hey, here to bring ya Blue Exorcist Season 2 Kyoto Saga Episode 11. 11. 11. Hey, we're doing this on a Sunday because I watched the episode on Friday and then for some reason I blacked out for 2 days. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why. I can't be trusted. That's the point of the game, baby. I think I'm gonna do like an update video after I finish Blue Exorcist Season 2 episode reviews and just be like, I'm not doing any more episode reviews for a while and trying to get back to just normal anime videos because I feel like they've essentially become a crutch that I'm leaning on. I mean, granted, I would argue the same thing for other channels too, but as far as mine specifically is concerned, I feel like it's just a crutch. So bringing into the episode, it's almost a one-to-one not translation, I guess I should say, a one-to-one animated from the manga. There's really no filler in here. Although there are things in this episode that lead me to believe they're not animating any more Blue Exorcist after this arc. The scene I guess to just talk about the episode in general. As I said, this episode we finish up the Kyoto arc here, and it finally comes down to the point that Ren's biggest fear, because it was never really told to us, but you could kind of guess it throughout the season. That Ren is afraid of embracing his demon side. He's afraid of his demon side. The difference is that unlike other characters in other shows who fucking actively get all mopey and depressed about it all the goddamn time while they're afraid of their demon selves, Ren always handled his problems by faking a smile and kind of just putting up a facade. That's how Ren handled it. And it got down to the point where it was like, listen, you're going to have to deal with this and you're going to have to pick a side. Like even the demon tells him, he's like, eventually you're gonna have to pick a side whether you want to be human or demon, because that's the question that he presents to him in the beginning of the episode. And as he's unleashing his power, you can see the demon side of him relishing in the thought of letting loose everything and destroying everything. And of course his bae Shamey comes to his mind to kind of keep him level-headed, and it boils down to, look, I'm not going to be a full-on demon who destroys everything, but that is a part of who I am. You know, I'm Ren Okumura. Ren Okumura is a half demon. I'm the son of Satan, and the demon part is a part of who I am. And if anything, I like the fact that the end of this episode pretty much allows him to come to terms with himself. He's not 100% like into his power, but he damn sure has a good control on it now, and is willing to do what he needs to do without hurting anyone for the most part with his ability. As you see in this episode, he shoots out the fireball, destroys the Impure King, and is able to actually purify anybody of the miasma while not hurting them. As we see with like Shima's family and Shamey and Kaneki and all of them. They're all fine after this. Now to get into this, and to me that's a good to me it's Blue Exorcist gets, I feel like Blue Exorcist doesn't get enough credit than when it really deserves, because I think it's a good show. I think that what hurts it a lot is that it's a very slice of life ish compared to other shonen, on top of the fact that it's a manga that's monthly, and it's a show that, as you can see, is very disjointed. I mean, just explaining how to watch the first 2 seasons is hard, because half of the first season is completely filler bullshit that has no real place in the goddamn series, but was made because we wanted to keep making episodes, but you know, the manga wasn't caught up enough for me to make new episodes out of the canon. So in the result, we got the bullshit that was the second half of what was that, episodes 13 or 14 to like 26 that were just complete bullshit. But hey, man, we also got this, so you know, you can't hate it. And apparently it was probably enough to justify reanimating this part, because most shows would just kind of keep the filler ending and be like, fuck it, we done. Like, for example, I don't expect them to go back and do a Kami Ga Kill again. Although, personally, I don't fucking like that show, so it doesn't matter to me either way, I'm just saying. But the part of this episode that makes me think they're not going to do any other arcs, is the fact that one of the final scenes in the episode where Yukio hits Ren, pissed off that it's like, you realize how much trouble you're in, and then that's when Ren has his speech. There's a sequence he does that he doesn't do, and he wouldn't do until like another 2 episodes if the anime kept going. What I'm referring to is that there's a filler-ish type chapter. It's more of a brother chapter that happens. It would be 2 chapters from where we're at now. That involves Yukio, Ren, and Shamey, and it kind of gets, because like the end of, like in this episode, in the preview for next week, they mentioned how I have something I need to tell you, brother. Don't run away. Well, the thing that he needs to tell him is what he tells him in this episode. Like, there's a the exact sequence where he pulls out his sword and he shows off the demon flames and shit. That sequence happens in the chapter in which he and Yukio have the conversation about him being a demon and about how that's a part of who he is now and how he's accepted it as a part of who he is. That sequence doesn't happen here. So the fact that they already animated it and put it here, I don't know if they did that for the sake of animation, but it kind of ruins that episode. It would have ruined if they were to animate that episode. Then it kind of ruins it. So I don't know what they're trying to do, because the next week I think episode 12 should be it, unless they're going to do an OVA for what I would view as episode 13, which is really, as I said, that's where they're putting that. It's confusing. The point is, they took something like a chapter 2 in the future and put it here. I don't know if that's to make it fit better, but it also ruins part of the it would ruin, if they still animated that episode, it would ruin that episode, because then it would just feel fucking redundant. I think it's gonna end next week. I think Blue Exorcist's last episode for Kyoto Saga is next week, because that is technically, even in the manga, it's called like the conclusion. Like, that's the name of the chapter, where it's literally just wrapping everything up from the Kyoto Saga. I mean, obviously everything's been beating, but we have to have our aftermath episode, and then we're done. And now, granted, there is another chapter that has something to do with it, which is the whole Ren and Yukio conversation about his demon abilities and whether he accepts himself as a demon, and how that is a part of who he is now. That, because that's where the scene is stolen from. I don't think they're going to animate that. I think they're done. I think they're legitimately done with this. I'm surprised, because Kyoto Saga, although being a good arc, I actually, the next arc after this in the manga is actually pretty good. I actually think that's a good arc for like Kanekamaru, and I think Kanekamaru probably benefits the most out of that arc, and it leads into a little bit of the Kaneki stuff. There's a lot of cool things that have happened in the manga and interesting stuff. I think Kyoto is probably going to be it for Blue Exorcist. Like, I don't think they're adapting the next arc. But obviously that's up to the animators. I mean, obviously they've retconned things before, so that could be something different. I just think, based off of what they did here, using a scene from a future episode, it wasn't even like it was 2 chapters ahead. It wasn't like it was like a chapter ahead or like a few pages into the next chapter. They took like a scene from like 2 chapters that's one of the most pivotal scenes in that chapter. So I don't think they're doing anything else. I think next week is our last episode, which is fine, because next week will be literally a wrap-up episode anyway, so there's not too much else they really need to do to begin with. But yeah, I like the episode. It's a good kind of closing off for Ren, for him to finally, because it was something. I also like how it was kind of more of a background thing. Like, his biggest concern was just having his friends accept him, and obviously his fear of being Satan's child and destroying everything was a thing, but it wasn't so forefront and center like it is for every other like anime and shonen manga, where it's like, I have a demon side of me that's crazy and shit. Like, it wasn't so split up to where I gotta get this dual personality Jekyll Hyde bullshit, because I'm not a huge fan of that. The way it's usually portrayed, it's very unappealing. So I like the way they handled it here. But please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. This has been the Insane Game Freak Schizomanica here. Sorry, I had a little seizure. No, I'm just... Oh, man. Life's a game. Play to win. And I will catch you all later. Peace.